Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small businesses and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. Today's episode is a little bit different. I wanted to take a few moments and ask a few restaurant owners 4 questions. Since I obviously own Deli Fresh Threads, which is a sandwich-themed clothing brand, and I like to ask everyone what their favorite sandwich was, I wanted to get some insight from these restaurant owners. One about what makes a great sandwich, what sandwich making tips do you have, as well as also getting a little bit more insight from these restaurant owners about what has worked or thought that they would work and then didn't, and what's some uncommon information that most people wouldn't know that restaurant owners have to deal with. So I definitely want to take the time to thank the guys from Team Fat Kid Food Truck, Pom from Pom Pom's Tea House, and Thomas Ward from Pig Floyd's Urban Barbakoa for taking the time to chat with me and answer some of these simple questions. Hope you enjoy, and here we go. Hey, Team Fat Kid, what makes a great sandwich?
That's a good question.
I
think you got something, because I think like when you have to start with the bread. I think like when you're like, it's the bread for me.
So like your base is your bread.
If the base sucks,
then it's
the whole sandwich is gonna suck.
Okay, I see where you're kind of. See, I kind of went the opposite. You and I are. I'm on details. Sauce.
Okay.
I feel like the finish is the sauce.
But you've never had a sandwich that was just like bread, meat, cheese. That was it.
Yeah, and I mean like, have I eaten them? Yeah. Are they disappointing most of the time?
Sometimes you're just trying to eat a sandwich.
What?
I ain't got time for this.
What's the question?
Ham and cheese and
what
white
makes
bread.
a great sandwich?
What makes a great sandwich?
Sauce. No, I think bread's a good answer too, but my answer is sauce. I think we can have 2 separate answers.
But we can. I'm pretty sure we can have 15. It's also like the way it's built. Like, cause like we ran into that issue with the Chicken Club.
Oh well, okay, that as well.
And like, cause we were putting the L top on top, and like as you were trying to close it up, everything was sliding off the sandwich.
It was like falling apart.
Yeah.
It's a very tall sandwich. Though.
It is. I mean, everything we do is pretty damn big. But I think like the bread, the way it's built, like to make sure like everything's not falling apart, and if you're gonna use like a protein, like in a steak sandwich, or even like our pork sandwich, like we pound it out so you can get a clean bite and you're not like taking a bite and like pulling all the meat out of the sandwich.
Pom, what do you think?
Bread, meat, vegetables. Really good bread, really good meat, very fresh vegetables.
Talk about to the point. Thomas, what do you think makes a great sandwich?
A great sandwich. I think the importance of the bread is key. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the most important part of the sandwich, obviously, depending on what bread you choose to go with, bagel, toast, I don't know. Croissant, yeah, everything, all that. And obviously the different textures that you're going to put in there. If you're going to put meat, if you're going to put cheese, what kind of cheese goes well. I think it's very important. I like Munster cheese, right? And I like ham, and I like bacon. So my sandwich is kind of weird because it's simple, but at the same time, I mean, I'll put a little lettuce in it. I think bread is the most important part of the sandwich because, I mean, the taste, that's the first thing you're biting into, right? And how big of a bite and all that, I think that's critical.
Thanks, guys. That's a great, I appreciate the response. Yeah, I agree. I think bread is a foundation. It's obviously the reason why my mascot is me as a piece of bread, because I think that is the foundation. If we definitely got to have some good structural integrity, and that is the foundation to any good sandwich. So I agree with that. And I agree with all the points from Pom and Team Fat Kid. I mean, there's different elements to how you make it. There's definitely a science to having structural integrity, taste, and to making a great sandwich. So I'm kind of curious, is there a menu item that you thought would be great, but then didn't sell as you expected? And then what did you do about it?
The triple P, man. It's a sleeper.
Pork in general.
Yeah, pork in general.
I mean, like we have bacon in our burger, and there's bacon on the burger. There's a lot of bacon being sold, but I mean, like as far as like the pork sandwiches in general, definitely didn't.
They're starting to make a turn now.
They are, and I don't know, maybe it's a summertime thing.
Yeah, I think, but you would think like a fried pork cutlet sandwich in the wintertime would kind of
That makes sense to me.
You know, like, yeah, to us. And
but
like,
for some reason, again,
like the second part of that is like, what did we do? And we just kept promoting it to people, and it's starting to gain momentum. Like, we're not ready. Like, we talked about taking it off the menu. We talked about changing it, but we stuck to our guns because we know it's an amazing sandwich. We talked to a friend today.
He
who
ordered
4 4 of them. He ate 1.5, and then he ate 1.5 later. He let his wife have one.
you gotta.
And he did say it reheated well.
You gotta give a bad item a time to run.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just judge it on one.
Like, it's like in the menu engineering, like, you know, you have like your stars, your dogs, your workhorses. Like, you know, this one right now falls, I believe, like in the, what's the second column? The second from the bottom. I forget, because like the
I know
star,
what you're talking about. Dude, it's been so long since I actually been over this.
The workhorse is like your cheap one that sells really no.
Your workers is the one that makes you all your money.
I thought that was the star, the cheap, and it sells well. Now we're just gonna ramble on for a minute. But anyway, so like, you got to give it time to develop. I think we're still new.
We haven't been around.
We haven't been around.
I think it's
close
close to 6 months. We're pushing 6.
You have to let that sandwich stay on the menu for at least a year. I mean, because it's inexpensive to produce.
It is,
outside of the sauce that we're putting on it,
which is delicious.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We have to make that all the time.
Back to you, and like the sauce is kind of important in this one. Bread, sauce, like the meat is pounded out, like it's thin, so you get a clean bite, and you add bacon. Like, it's like the triple P, pork on pork on pork. You're wearing the shirt right now.
Yeah, you definitely don't have to tell me. I'm down with triple P. Yeah, you know me. Hey, Pom, what about you?
Spam. I made my own Spam, and I'm still hurt because it didn't sell out as fast as it should have. And I'm not going to make it until I have more requests.
I've never actually had your Spam, but I definitely would consider having it. Thomas of Pig Floyd's, what about you? What did you think was going to be better than what it was?
Yes. We did a pig rib sandwich, trying to use leftover ribs, and I thought it was a great sandwich. It included our apple fennel slaw, and the bread was really good and all that, and it failed.
I'm actually totally shocked by it because I always got it when it was on special. I'd always buy it. And so what exactly did you do with it then?
I did sticky ribs. No sandwich. Yeah, we pivoted and changed it into a non-sandwich item. Just there's sandwiches that work and there's sandwiches that don't.
Yeah, I get that. Can you share one of the hardest, difficult struggles of running a restaurant that people may not be aware of? Thomas, let's start with you this time. What do you think?
Yeah, great consistency on a daily basis is very tough because it becomes sort of a mundane activity. It's the same thing every day. You're cooking the same food. It gets boring for people. So I think that's the toughest part, is just creating some sort of, fun in the whole, in the whole activity. I've been in it 7 years, so there's times that it just gets boring. Yeah. So it's creating fun for the staff that are working and for yourself even to keep going day after day.
Pom, what do you think are the hardest struggles?
There's so many, believe it or not. One of the hardest things is you, as an owner, you have to set the tone. And sometimes you really don't want to set that tone. You just feel grungy and gunky, but you have to go in and check your baggage at the door and say, hey, it's showtime. Be happy, That's one of the things for sure.
Team Fat Kid, you guys have been in business the shortest amount of time, but what have you noticed so far has been a struggle?
That's a two-parter. I think we can talk about restaurants, but we also talk about the food truck, or do we just talk about it in general?
I think he's talking about it in general.
Yeah.
And
I think the hardest part for me is the beginning and the ending. Once we're on location and we're open, like now we're like in the element.
Oh, see,
It's the hours to me, like the early mornings to be somewhere at noon.
I'm going to make a differentiation. You're talking about working the food truck. The question was about owning and operating one, like a business. Is that right?
Is that the question?
Owning one, right? What's...
Sure. That's extra paperwork, dude. That shit sucks.
Running a restaurant. running a restaurant that people may not be aware of.
The clerical side.
You hate that. I love that.
Like I mean, like the clerical side, like like opening a restaurant and running a restaurant are very different. Like the opening, like all the paperwork that goes into opening a restaurant, and then running the restaurant, and like, I mean, watching your numbers, like the boring part, man. Mm-hmm. Like I like to cook. I love food. I don't so much like people. And like a long time ago, like a general manager asked me, like, why haven't you moved up, like from food and beverage director? Like, why haven't you attempted to like take a position as an assistant general manager? I was like, 'cause your job sucks, dude. Like, I don't want to do that. Like,
time. You just never have time. I don't care if...
Can we make these 40-hour days?
If you're owners or not, like, I just even being a GM of a restaurant, like, you never have time. You always feel like, you're on call 24/7.
Oh.
Like, you just,
life.
you never have time. Yeah, there's no personal life. And I don't...
This is our personal life.
Like, some people find a balance somehow. I don't understand it, but most of the time, if you are running a restaurant, that is what you do. That is your life.
We talked to a friend today, and he was trying to find that happy balance, and like he has a newborn, and he works lunch and dinner, 5 days a week.
Yeah, I never really thought of it the way you guys have put it in there. The repetition, the quality, and trying to stay perfect, and at the same time, the nonstop, because this is obviously your baby. So it's that's all reasons why I would probably think very hard and long to ever consider opening a restaurant or a sandwich shop, just because of those elements. You got to be a special people, basically do that. Okay, so last question. What is one sandwich making tip for those making sandwiches at home? Pom, what you got?
All four corners. Whatever you're doing, all four corners. All four corners is all I have to say.
Okay, what about you, Thomas? What do you think?
The sandwich making tip, I think, is just use butter, and it's salted butter. I add salt to salted butter. So, but I'm salty. So, yeah, extra salty. So, I think that's pretty much what I would tell you is the most important thing. Just salted butter and put it on a grill, and yum.
What about you, Team Fat Kid? What's your one sandwich making tip that you would give anyone to make at home?
Ooh, I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, good bread, man. Like,
good bread and sauce. When you sauce the side to side, crust to crust.
Oh yeah,
definitely
crust to crust. Yeah. When you're putting the PB and J together, make sure you go all the way to the edges with both condiments. All right, at that point, are these even condiments anymore?
Condiments or sauces, remember?
Right, yeah. I know, but like we're trying to like. So if you're having a peanut butter,
because I was waiting for you to make that argument when you were like meat and cheese sandwich. Like you've never just made like a turkey sandwich with cheese, like with mayonnaise. Mustard.
I've literally just put meat and cheese
mustard
between two slices of bread.
Who hasn't been lazy? But there's a difference between making a lazy sandwich and a good sandwich. Making a great sandwich, again, I think comes down to the sauce. You know what? I could turn some white bread into amazing shit with the right sauce.
In the proper equipment. Like you throw white bread in a panini press, it becomes an amazing sandwich. Like any sandwich you put in a panini press.
I would just like to throw out that I believe that butter on a grilled cheese could possibly count as a sauce.
But so, what if you use mayonnaise instead of
then you're
butter?
still with me on the sauce point.
Is it a sauce now?
I'm counting it.
Okay. I mean you
all right.
The commissioner has spoken. Mayonnaise and butter on the outside of a grilled cheese
are
a sauce. Well, what if you use rendered bacon fat? Now, is that a sauce? Because you use that instead of mayonnaise or butter. I'm going to use rendered bacon fat to make my grilled cheese sauce.
Anyway.
And is it a bacon grilled cheese?
It'd be a bacon grilled cheese, wouldn't it?
As you can see, there's many tips and many ideas and suggestions. Obviously, if you have a tip, I'd love to hear it. Feel free to leave me a message and let me know. That's our show for today. Thank you so much for Team Fat Kid, Pom from Pom Pom's Tea House, Thomas Ward from Pig Floyd's Urban Barbakoa, for having an abridged lunch and answering some of my questions that I've always been curious about. Definitely make sure to check them out online. If you have a chance and you're in the Orlando area or in Virginia Beach, definitely check out the restaurants. And for sure, make sure to subscribe. If you like these type of episodes, let me know. Leave me a comment. I think it's something fun to kind of mix it up a little and be able to get a perspective from other folks. And if you have other questions that you want me to ask, by all means, send me the question. I'd love to incorporate it to ask other small businesses and restaurants these same questions, and we can kind of make it a segment and break it up a little bit. Thank you so much. Feel free to check out my brand, Deli Fresh Threads, and do some shopping and tell your friends. Thank you. And once again, till next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow your passion.